With 4 planets transiting Aquarius, one thing is for certain, things are about to get a little weird. Hi, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to Just Your Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological forecast for the week of February 12th to February 18th, 2024, where we are breaking down everything you need to know about this week of astrology and how you can co-create with the cosmos in order to navigate your universe with maximum alignment and maximum magic. That's why we call it Magic Monday. And even though this week we're discussing February 12th to February 18th, you can expect every single Sunday here on my channel, I will be here with your weekly horoscope, whether I'm in the cosmic corner or elsewhere. We'll get into where I am in a moment, here to guide you in moving into the week or reflecting on the week and understanding what the bigger cosmic cycles are at play. And when it comes to this week of astrology, there is an Aquarius party building in the cosmos and you are invited. The question is it a party that you want to be at? Let me set the scene. So firstly, Sun is transiting Aquarius. Now, Sun does not particularly enjoy being in Aquarius. The Sun is in its detriment in Aquarius as the Sun governs Aquarian's opposite sign, Leo. And the themes are just a little bit incompatible as Sun is I am energy, ego energy, and Aquarius is we are energy, our community, our collective, our friendships. And so it's a little incompatible. So if we think about Sun being at the Aquarius party, there's a little bit of feeling like you don't belong. There's a little bit of feeling awkward or like overly aware of other people and what it is that they're doing. There's a certain desire around, yes, connection, but also this energy around contemplating, I don't totally fit in, I'm so different and wanting to escape into your own world. Yeah, that's kind of the energy of Sun being in Aquarius at the party. Now, Venus and Mars are joining the Aquarius party this week. They both enter Aquarius, and these are peregrine in Aquarius, which essentially means that these planets do not perform extraordinarily well when they are placed in Aquarius, nor do they perform not well. They are simply neutral. So with Venus and Mars in Aquarius, we could observe that we have renewed passion as it relates to our friendships, as it relates to our big picture ideology. So the passion planets, Venus and Mars in Aquarius, is sort of like the party goers who are debating at the party. And with the Venus, it's all in good fun, right? Contemplating these big picture ideologies. Mars goes a little far, okay? Mars gets a little stubborn. Mars raises its voice a little bit too much, but alas, they are still enjoying the party.
Editing Haley here. Please excuse the brief interruption. It'll be the only one throughout this entire video. I just needed to pop in while editing and just issue a quick correction. For some reason, just during the intro, throughout the rest of the video, I talk about Mercury being in Aquarius. I talk about the 2 major Mercury aspects we have this week. But for some reason in the intro, I just completely forgot that Mercury is also transiting Aquarius, thus invited to the Aquarius party. So if you were invested within the party analogy, Mercury would be the party guest who is asking everybody out of the box questions and seeking to connect and make sure everybody is conversing. And just pretend that at the very, very beginning of this video, I said that there are 5 planets in Aquarius, not just 4, 5. So things are getting extra weird. Back to the video, back to the magic.
Now you might be hearing all this and say, Haley, Comet, this sounds like a party I'd like to be at. Sign me right up. The thing is, we have one more party guest. And you will feel this party guest, aka this planet, very much embedded within your weekly horoscope. And that is Pluto is at the party. Pluto in Aquarius is sort of like the party goer who's sulking in the corner and has a very intense vibe. You know those individuals where if they're in a bad mood, you can just feel it throughout the entirety of the room, where you feel bad if you're laughing too hard or if you're debating too much because Pluto is just looking at you with intense eye contact and judging everything that you say? Yeah, Pluto's at the party. And Pluto is embedded within your weekly forecast as it's there to greet Mars entering Aquarius and Venus entering Aquarius, as Pluto is situated so early in the Aquarius degrees. And the thing is, Pluto is not going to ruin the party, nor is Pluto going to ruin your week. We will talk about the best ways to utilize this Plutonian energy because yes, it can be a good thing. You can integrate Pluto in the party. You can make Pluto feel included. You can leverage Pluto's gifts within your weekly horoscope. That's what we do here on Magic Monday. It's never about fear mongering. It's simply about being prepared with these energies and being inspired to co-create with them. But you're going to want to be mindful that you're going to a party and Pluto's there. So you're going to integrate Pluto into the party, or you're going to ignore Pluto and hope it goes away. The choice is yours. But we will break down what you need to know about this energy thematically as well as day by day. But before we get into that, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. You may be saying, if you watch Magic Monday pretty regularly, you may be saying, Haley Comet, where's your beverage? Don't you worry, I have two, one for caffeine and one for curiosity. I wanted to try this on camera because I have no idea what this has in store for me. I honestly was enticed because I liked the bottle. I loved the flowers. It's titled Beauty Drink. So you'll have to let me know if I get more beautiful throughout this video, because then this works and you should go find Beauty Drink at a store near you. But honestly, what convinced me is on the back, there is a sticker with some tarot cards and like a little zodiac symbol behind. I have no idea what this says. If anybody speaks Thai, let me know what that says. I should have asked when I purchased it, but I just saw the tarot cards. I saw the little constellation in the background and I felt seen. I felt heard. So I don't know if this drink is going to make me more intuitive. If that's what it's saying, I have no clue. So if anybody has any ganders, please let me know. And then I'm drinking this coffee. I have no idea how to pronounce it. And then I added a little bit of almond milk in it. Isn't this almond milk the cutest? I swear, everything here, from the packaging to the signs to even the money, is cute. Everything is so cute. And by here, I mean Thailand. I'm currently in Thailand traveling as a little 30th birthday present to myself. And my goodness, what a sweet birthday gift it has already been. I'm so excited to share more on it. But I do want to apologize. That's why we have a different backdrop. And I would love to know, I'm actually quite curious, if you watch Magic Monday pretty regularly, does it throw you off if I'm in a different backdrop? Does it take away from your quality of viewing? I'm very curious. If you could let me know below, because if you do find the Cosmic Corner supports, perhaps I could pre-record if I'm going to go on a trip, but I don't know. It's kind of fun to be traveling and having you guys along with me. Your feedback would be so appreciated on that. And this coffee is absolutely delightful. I will say it's very sweet, which I was not anticipating. And now for the moment that we've all been waiting for, or at least I've been waiting for it. Let's try this beauty drink. And you guys will have to let me know. Do I get more beautiful? Wouldn't that be shocking if just all of a sudden I just got a major glow up and all of a sudden like Bella Hadid was sitting in front of you? Do you ever sip something or eat something or smell something that transports you right back to a memory? This tastes exactly like what communion at my grandma's church felt like. I got just transported back to being 8 taking communion at my grandma's church. I think this is grape juice, or at least it's very grape forward, and it tastes exactly like the grape juice they would have at my grandma's church when we would take communion. So they'd pass out little wafers and the adults would dip it in wine and I had to dip it in grape juice. And so I'm assuming this is grape juice, just with a little sprinkle of religious guilt. But alas, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology by painting a picture of the astrology that we are navigating with our segment Vibe Check of the Week. So if you are new here, Vibe Check of the Week is when we translate astro speak to real life speak. So if you're like Haley Comet, I don't know what it means that Venus conjoins Pluto and Mercury squares Uranus. Those words don't have any inherent meaning for me. We essentially take what those energies embody and compare it to a real life scenario. I'm not saying this exact scenario is alive within your experience, but tune into the emotion, the dynamic, the vibe, and that will help you tune into how these energetics may surface as you navigate your week. And so this week's astrology feels like having a friend who's not really a friend. And I don't mean that in a backstabbing frenemy sort of way. I mean that in the way where this is your nearest and dearest, closest friend, but beneath the surface, you have these intense, consuming, romantic feelings of desire for this person that are getting harder and harder to keep under wraps. And you are terrified. This is a dear friend to you, and you do not want to mess anything up. You do not want anything to get weird. You value and cherish this person so much that you want to be in their life in whichever capacity, even if that's as a friend. But it's getting harder and harder to keep these feelings at bay, as well as your jealousy at bay. Because we'll say, for the sake of the vibe check, your friend's name is Alex. Let's say Alex comes to you and says, oh my gosh, I have this date on Friday, and you have to, just be in bestie mode where you're just like, oh my gosh, that's so great, tell me about this person. But beneath the surface, it's like someone has taken your heart and just stabbed it repeatedly over and over, and you are trying so hard, just have a happy face and ask the right questions for the date, but internally you just want to scream, that should be me, you should be going on a date with me, why can't you see? And you're just trying so hard to keep these emotions and these feelings under wrap and just maintain an aloof, cool demeanor, as you don't care at all what your friend's doing on Friday night. That doesn't bother you at all that they're going on a date. And these feelings are so hidden that you have not opened up to anybody about them. They've just been festering beneath the surface. And also what's been festering is just so much fear. There's fear if you stay here, right? You're gonna watch Alex fall in love with somebody else and it's gonna crush your spirit. There's fear if you come forward and confess your feelings and Alex doesn't feel the same and then the friendship just gets weird. And there's also fear around, what if Alex does feel the same way? What does that mean for me? What does this mean for them? What would our relationship even be like together? It's just like every course of action just feels scary and intense. So why does this week's astrology feel like this hypothetical scenario? So firstly, we have the 2 passion planets entering Aquarius, quite literally reflected within the vibe check around friendship, but also something more also baked in a lot of times with particularly Venus and Aquarius. Typically, they really do like their relationships built on the foundation of friendship. And one thing about Aquarius is that they have earned reputation for at times maintaining a very aloof, detached, emotionless demeanor. And they're not emotionless, they actually can care quite deeply, but a lot of times with the energy of Aquarius, there can be a little bit more of a detached quality about them, which is reflected within the vibe check around play cool, stay aloof, you don't care, But beneath the surface, you care. You care quite a lot. It's consuming you from the inside out how much you care. And that's the energy of when Venus and Mars enter Aquarius, they're greeted by this Plutonian energy. So to the surface, it's friendship, it's light, I don't care, it's all good. But beneath the surface, there are these Pluto feelings bubbling, which speaks to themes such as jealousy around that individual going for a date, obsession, you cannot stop thinking about this person. Fear of transformation. You know if you guys continue being friends, they're gonna fall in love with somebody else and you'll regret not telling them how you felt until perhaps the end of time. You know if you come forward, there's huge risk there. The energy of Pluto can sometimes plunge us into where our life is transforming and perhaps even where our relationships are transforming as well, with Venus and Mars meeting up. The news that Alex was going on a date this Friday is reflected by Mercury squaring Uranus, which happens this week. And we chatted a lot about Uranus energy in last week's vibe check. Make sure to get caught up there. But Uranus energy is about unexpected news coming in, and with this square, it may not be very pleasant. This is not how things were meant to go. Like you and Alex were going to hang out on Friday and have a movie night, and now there's been a plot twist. Alex has met somebody who they think is really attractive. They have an adorable date planned, and you just have to stay home and listen to the same album over and over and ruminate about what they're doing now. Are they done with their main course? Have they ordered dessert? Again, not all of us, I would actually imagine very few of us are harboring this intense, all-consuming desire for a friend. Maybe there's a couple of you out there. But what I want to say, the shades to look out for when it comes to your week is this energy of trying to not care, but caring very deeply on the inside, unexpected messages coming up, potential jealousy or squabbles within your relationships, as well as a deep call for intimacy. That's the energy of Pluto. It can bring us down to the shadow side of the human experience, which was exemplified by the obsession, the intensity, by, even talking down on that person when Alex shows you this individual's Instagram, being like, this person's so lame, you're going on a date with this person. Like sometimes Pluto can drag us to the shadow side of this human experience, but also the energy of Pluto can give us fearlessness to be able to step into change, whatever path you choose to take on, to be able to allow yourself to be fully, deeply seen, even if that's quite uncomfortable, and to choose who you are evolving into into and what your relationships are evolving into, rather than what it is that they've been in the past. It's Aquarius season after all, the sign of the future. So we will discuss these energies so much more in depth within our day-by-day analysis. I want to let you know that there are timestamps below. I understand these are pretty long, so feel free if you want to save the days for the day that you arrive to listen there to get you acclimated to the energies. That is available for you. I also want to let you know that the times I mention will be PST, as that's the typical that I utilize, as I am based in California. All times that I mention within this video are PST, as I am based on the West Coast. Even though I'm not there currently, we'll just keep my typical time zone to make it easy. I'm currently on Thai time, and the adjustment has been quite interesting. I've been waking up every single day at 4 a.m., just wide awake, ready to start the day, like literally waiting eagerly for the sun to rise at 6:41 a.m., looking at the clock for an appropriate time when I could go for a run on the beach or a swim or whatever. But alas, we're gonna use PST moving forward, even though that's not the time zone I'm currently on. And the last note is that you are so welcome to hit the gear icon to play with the playback speed. You could speed me up, you could slow me down, and I know this visual isn't much to look at. I had a whole plan of what I was going to do here where you could see the ocean view. It's literally right there. Now I get the ocean view, you guys don't, but the lighting was just so trash that I had to rearrange things. So it's what we do when we are just filming Magic Monday on the go. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into your horoscope for Monday, February 12th. Good morning. Happy Monday, February 12th. So the day starts off with the moon in Pisces, where it does not stay for long. You could have observed Sunday night you were having some wild dreams, okay, because moon aligned with Neptune. And then the closing aspect is that the Pisces moon will sextile Mars in Capricorn, who, by the way, is hanging out at the anaretic degree. It's hanging out at 29 degrees Capricorn. But the thing about hanging out at the 29th degree is that you're not hanging out at the 29th degree. There's this energy of being fired up. Nothing can happen fast enough. It tends to charge this energy of urgency around, I've got to do it now, which is co-signed by the moon entering Aries at 5:26 a.m. It's kind of revving up our engine where we're just wanting to jump into things, take action right away. And you could just be like, whatever, I love this person, I'm just going to tell them, I'm going to run to their house, I'm going to do it right now and tell them how it is that how I feel. I'm going to be courageous, because the Aries moon does give us courage codes, especially since after the moon enters Aries, it sextiles Pluto. So it's this energy around, I'm going to feel the fear, that's the energy of Pluto and Aquarius, but I'm going to do it anyway. And with Mars at the anaretic degree, it sometimes gives us this feeling around now or never. I've got to take action now. I've got to do something now. Now, if the action we're talking about is not confessing your love to, a dear friend of yours, you could just observe this energy of Mars at the anaretic degree and Aries moon sextile Pluto around people just being a little bit more charged up, a little bit more fired up, like on the road, people driving faster, being more impatient. Everybody's in a rush, okay? When the moon's in Aries, nothing can happen fast enough to begin with. And then it's answering to Mars, who's at the anaretic degree. Forget about it. We're approaching everything with this feeling of urgency on Monday, as though we have to do all the things right now. Everything needs to get done right away. We could get really frustrated by any sort of delay or anything taking time. And that urgency can be leveraged for good. If during the Aquarius new moon, you had some visions, you had some ideas, the Aries moon sextile Pluto is gifting you the courage to take it on, right? To urgently go after what it is that you are calling in, that you truly desire. A lot of times, particularly when it comes to our work tasks, we push off the big picture things because there feels to be so many smaller urgent things that are grabbing our attention around, oh, this person emailed me, I got to write back to them, or this person's calling. These small insignificant facets that don't really move our big picture along. What would it look like if you approached your own tasks, that task that really pulls at your heartstrings, that book that you want to write, that podcast that you want to create, whatever it is? What if you approach that thing that really pulls at your heartstrings, that desire that feels so sacred and so immense that it scares you a little bit? What would it look like if you approach that with urgency? Because I want to expand, even if the romantic themes are not applicable for your world, Pluto is those deep desires that scare us a little bit. And Pluto can be a very extreme planet. There's no middle ground. And that's how crushes, especially those kind of crushes. I know you know what I'm talking about. Those sort of consuming crushes, that's what makes them so intense, because there's no middle ground. It is either on cloud nine in utter ecstasy because this person complimented you, or down in the dumps looking for reasons to live because this person ignored you. Like, when it comes to those sort of crushes, it can be very polarizing, right? It can take us to heaven and also hell. It can drag us to either place. And even if you're not in one of those connections currently or wanting somebody within that way, sometimes that big picture dream scares us a little bit, because plunging into that desire, it does require transformation. It does require facing fears a lot of times. And what Monday's astrology is gifted for is taking things on with courage around, this is going to change me and I'm ready. This is going to feel life or death, because again, when it comes to heartfelt desires that are truly important to us, sometimes it can feel like that, right? It can feel that way. Even if it's not literally, it can feel like that. The Aries moon sextile Pluto is just being game and being open to that transformation that embodying that desire will take on. So I'm not saying everybody needs to go confess to your crush, okay? That is not what I'm saying. But on Monday, take action on what's important to you. Handle the biggest, scariest items on your to-do list first. Prioritize yourself with urgency, just as deeply as you would prioritize anybody else. And then that evening, Mars enters Aquarius around 10 p.m. So again, if you are elsewhere in the world, it very well may occur on Tuesday for you. But with Mars is now shifting from territory it liked to be in. Mars really enjoyed being in that Capricorn party. Even when it was solo, it was having a nice time, okay? The energies are very compatible. Mars entering Aquarius, like I highlighted earlier, it's very neutral, but you should observe within the Aquarius territory of your chart. You can be feeling more fired up, more apt to want to solve problems. There could be more desire in that arena, but also more frustrations, or even more conflict, or even more fights. Keep in mind, Mars at the Aquarius party, kind of having debates and getting people riled up. Mars is not the chill, calm party guest. Mars could be a lot of fun. It could challenge people to games of pool, or within an Aquarius, rousing debates, right? But sometimes Mars will start a fight, because that's what Mars does. And even though it does not conjoin Pluto today, I just want you to be aware that it is building to conjoin, because you can absolutely be feeling these Pluto energies around feeling quite competitive, feeling quite jealous. Mars is our desire energy. And so when Mars is on Pluto, that desire energy can be overly riled up, where we are coveting what other people have, or we're being competitive as it relates to other people's metrics. The energy of Mars is being intensified by Pluto, which, like I said, Pluto energy can make matters feel life or death. It's not literally life or death, but it can feel like that, because that's how crushes can feel. That's how desires can feel. It can feel like there is no in between. Either I will have what it is that I want and I will cloud nine, or I will destroy myself. Like, it's important to highlight, Pluto is the creator and the destroyer. With this focused intent of Pluto energy, there can be powerful things that we can create, but we can also obsess and self-destruct with Pluto energy. Pluto is such a double-edged sword. So reaching for, if applicable, Monday and Tuesday particularly, reaching for being competitive with yourself. Again, you can utilize other people as expanders around, gosh, that person built an online business, I wonder if I could as well. Or gosh, my friend fell in love and she's been traveling the globe with the person that she loves. That would be so cool if I could experience something like that. It's helpful to have people around us who expand our concept of what we can be. That can be helpful. But it's important to remind yourself that it is not a zero-sum game. That person's win does not indicate your loss. But Mars, Pluto, sometimes it can feel that way. Well, that person has the relationship that I want. That means that this person is my enemy and my competitor because I want something that they have. If people around you are getting something that you want, I know sometimes that could be so frustrating around, gosh, I have been wanting to start a business for so many years, but I've been fearful of. And of course, my friend who gets everything handed to them just magically starts a business and it's going well for them as everything else does. It can make you stew in that lower dimensional Pluto energy and even kind of spiral a little bit around why you're never good enough and you're never going to have what it is that you want, and ruminating around all of the times that you should have started this business or should have prioritized dating or what have you. Again, you can use that happening to people around you as, see, everybody else gets what they want and I don't. Vibrationally, if people around you are getting what it is that you want, that means it's getting closer to you. And if you can really just be in that vibration with that person around being genuinely happy for them, genuinely happy that their business is thriving, genuinely happy that their relationship is going well, that they made these new friends, that they closed on their first house, whatever it is, when you can tap into that vibration of what it must feel like to have that win or to have that relationship, to have that home, to have the keys to your first home, you're becoming more a vibrational match to what it is that you want. I'm telling you, you will not get what it is that you want if you are stewing in feelings of jealousy and rage and it's not fair. I never get what it is that I want. Everybody else has it so much easier. These people are not your enemies. It's important to remind yourself of that. Of course, we have to deal with the shadow side of being a human being. It's so natural to have envy or resentment or what have you, but you cannot let those feelings consume you, particularly if you are observing that you are jealous of a friend. It can really poison a connection when you are comparing yourself to them. Use those experiences as fuel and get competitive with yourself. With Mars, Pluto, get competitive with yourself. Focus on being the best that you can be, because Pluto is a reminder that where attention goes, energy flows. And rather than being consumed by your friend's downfall, or maybe just strangers on social media, rather than being consumed by their downfall, focus your attention towards being the best and building the best that you possibly can be. I'm telling you, we're all bitter sometimes, okay? But it's a so much more pleasant way to live if you can just be genuinely happy for other people and their experience and not make it a story or something about you around why not me? Why does this not happen to me? Again, it can be frustrating, but if it's getting closer to you, tap into that vibration, share that person's excitement with them. I've shared this before, but I love when people tell me their wins or something that they are excited about in life. I really try to be present with that person and feel their joy and feel their excitement. And it's not me being a leech or a parasite and sucking it from them. I seek to amplify it and tap into it myself. Where even if I'm not pleased with how my life is progressing, at least I can be so present with that person's joy and excitement. And it helps me climb to that level. Again, sometimes when we're here and kind of in that energy of like bitterness and resentment and envy, we will take glee in other people's downfalls, right? Because we want to drag them to that level. But what would it look like if instead you just took the invitation to elevate, right? Elevate to theirs. Pluto can be that focus, laser focus around this is what it is that I want. So that energy doesn't exact till Tuesday. I'll chat more about it within tomorrow's forecast, but I just want you to be conscious that those energies are building and aligning. And overall, with Mars and Aquarius, you should feel more energized around the friendships within your world, the ideologies that you believe in. I'm not kidding. With Mars and Mercury and Aquarius, expect more people to want to have debates with you, more people to want to play the devil's advocate. Aquarius is very much on that wavelength. So with Mars and Aquarius, we could be more apt to want to fight for our ideologies or the future that we believe in or that we want to help build. And we can also feel more energized and passionate about altruism, wanting to help humanity at large, or investing energy within our friendships. On Tuesday, February 13th, the romance of Valentine's Day came a little early, a day early to be specific, as we do have the incredibly romantic, dreamy influence of Venus in Capricorn sextile Neptune in Pisces. Now, something I find fascinating about this week's astrology, and this observation makes me so grateful that I have a YouTube channel where I get to share the astrological observations that are swimming in my head all of the time. But something I find quite fascinating, and stay with me here, is that Mercury, Venus, and Mars all have conversations with their higher octave planet within this week's astrology. If I were to say that sentence in so many other situations, people would be looking at me crazy. But the good news is I've cultivated a community of individuals who get lit up by this stuff just as I do, and I'm so grateful for that, by the way. But essentially, there is a theory that Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, and Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. Because you have to keep in mind, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto were not discovered at the time that many of the tenets of traditional astrology were established. So essentially within this octave theory, it was pulling in how they build off the planet of Mercury, Venus, and Mars and up-level it in a way, or add some more nuance or depth to it. For example, with Venus sextiling Neptune today, keep in mind, Neptune being the higher octave of Venus, the themes are very aligned in that Venus has to do with beautiful things and Neptune is sort of transcendent art and muse and inspiration. And since Venus is the planet of love, Neptune is the planet of spiritual love, where we just merge into the connection. Also this week, Mars aligns with this higher octave Pluto. Again, Mars is desire nature, and Pluto adds to that and adds a little bit more intensity and obsession. And Mercury squares off with its higher octave Uranus later in the week. Both of these planets are very brilliant, but Uranus kind of builds off the Mercury logic and invites in more inventive, out-of-the-box thinking. There's definitely an alignment with these planets, and I love the higher octave theory, and I love that they're all conversing with the planet that is their higher octave. Now, some of these aspects are more pleasant than others. Mercury square Uranus isn't necessarily always so enjoyable, but alas, thank you for humoring me and my observations that just ping-pong around my head all day long, but alas, back to the point. Venus sextiles Neptune. So again, these are very dreamy, ethereal planets. And with this combination, it gives a sprinkle of fairy dust within our week, within our day. We could observe we're more inspired. We're more in touch with muse. We're more able to create beautiful things. We could be conduits for channeling beautiful art that could come through. Again, sextile is an opportunity aspect. So if you are wanting to create art, Tuesday is a great day, but you got to work that muscle of the sextile. You can't just go through your day and hope that you'll feel inspired and a song will miraculously be written. You got to sit at your piano, play some scales, and wait for inspiration to strike. You got to work that muscle around intentionally choosing to show up and be a conduit for beautiful art. That could be a potential. Definitely listen to music on Tuesday. Neptune aspects are some of my favorite times to go see live shows, but even if you're just listening to music at home, you can just feel like you get lost into it, you merge into it. Neptune, by its very nature, is about dissolving. So dissolving the bounds of where you start and this song begins. And when we think about dissolving within a romantic context, this is the sort of energy where you can really connect with your lover like soul to soul. There can be sometimes with Neptune energy an ability to forgive, but with Mars conjoining Pluto, you're certainly not going to forget, but there can be an energy around choosing peace for now, or opening your heart for empathy and understanding, And this energy is weaved into the vibe check because this is the sort of dreamy sparkle that your life has when you do have a crush. When you're in the crush zone. Music is more intense, right? Because you're listening to everything and thinking of this person. Even colors seem brighter. You dress nicer. It just kind of turns up the volume of life and makes things a little bit more euphoric. You have constant daydream fuel, right? Because of this crush. So that's sort of sprinkled into Tuesday's astrology. Again, it's a sextile, so work that muscle around intentionally calling in Venus energy. Venus has to do with love. It has to do with money. It has to do with beauty. And with the sextile, it's Neptune. You could be a little bit more in dreamland, but with Venus in Capricorn, there is a desire around wanting to tether some of these dreams. So it might be gratifying to a certain level to be able to, daydream and fantasize about Alex, but there's a certain desire around, I wonder what this would feel like in real life. I wonder what it would look like to take the romantic factor of our connection that I believe is a secret. What would that look like anchored, grounded here and not just existing within my mind? What would that look like? There can be a sensation to want to ground and tether visions from the ethers, that's the energy of Neptune, and ground them down. Also on Tuesday, Mercury aligns with Pluto. Now this happens late Tuesday, so for a lot of you, this will likely be on Wednesday. So the beginning portion of this week, it is charged with this very Pluto energy, which can be competitive, it can be jealous, it could be so focused on getting what it is that you want that you are willing to do whatever it takes at any cost. So to take it back to the vibe check, that could be an energy around trying to manipulate the situation in order to get what it is that you want. Mars is our desires. Pluto is at all costs. So if your desire is, I don't want Alex to go on this date, with Mars Pluto, it could be energy around pretending to be sick and begging Alex, like, no, you can't go on your date. You have to come over and bring me soup, right? Being manipulative to get what it is that you want. Again, I'm not recommending that. Pluto can get sinister. It can feel like the end justifies the means so long as you get what it is that you want, which in that case would be Alex not going to the dinner date. But again, try not to be too influenced by the Pluto energy. The ends do not justify the means, okay? The means mean something. And it's not nice to manipulate people or situations in order to get what it is that you want. But like I said about Pluto, it can feel like life or death. It can feel like the end of the world that Alex is going on this date. It can feel like the end of the world if you don't get that position that you want. Like Mars Pluto can be that energy around, how can I make this person hire me? Do I need to blackmail them? Like, what do I need to do in order to get what it is that I want? Again, once you get what it is that you want, you have to deal with the consequences. And furthermore, you have to live with yourself around, wow, I really blackmailed this person in order to get this job. Like, the ends do not justify the means, no matter what Pluto might be whispering in your ear on Tuesday. We can be feeling more frustrated with Mars aligning with Pluto. We can be more apt to want to fight, debate, what have you. And with Mars being the planet of our physicality, it can be an incredible day to alchemize some energy. So if you're frustrated about something, put it into a workout, right? If you and your partner are fighting, put it into an experience. If you get to my drift, transform the energy, because you see the world differently after a workout and after some time with your partner, okay? Mars themes. You see the world differently. And our physical body deeply wants an outlet. It really wants a release. It's not always healthy to let your frustration or tension just continue to build and build and build, right? It does want an outlet. Again, the ends do not justify the means, okay? Always important to live with integrity. But if you're swirling with these unpleasant emotions within you, or an unpleasant situation that is alive within your experience, rather than suppressing it and pushing it into the darkest crevices of your mind where it can gain power, the Mars-Pluto energy asks you to move through it or alchemize it, perhaps in a very physical way. Because the more we hold on to anger, the more it can sort of explode. And we can go to extremes, right, with the energy of Pluto around just holding on and holding on and holding on to all of this frustration until the wrong person tries us, and then we just lose our minds and behave in ways that we are not proud of, right? With Mars-Pluto, it's about not demonizing your anger, not demonizing your shadow side, but not letting it take center stage. And if applicable, taking that frustration that might be swirling within you into something physical. Go in the forest and scream. If you're somewhere where there is a forest, take a kickboxing class, go for a long run, dance, massage, get into your physical body, release some energy, because you just see the world differently after you connect to your physical body. And our body holds on to things. Our body remembers, because our body holds on to things. Our body remembers. Maybe there's some frustrations that are swirling at your workplace, right? And with all this energy in Aquarius, you're having to keep it cool, calm, and collected. But inside, there's all of this anger swirling, and it's just getting more and more ugly. With Mars-Pluto, move through that anger. Scream in a forest. Take a kickboxing class, get a workout in, go for a long run, move some energy physically, and do not fear your anger. Anger is only scary when it is shoved into the shadows of your mind. And your shadow self is only scary when you repress it, when you don't acknowledge that those energies exist within you and exist within your experience. In the darkness, they can snowball. And when it gets to a certain point, it can make you act out or lash out in ways that you are not proud of. And that's why the people pleasers and the people who are always pretending like everything's okay, even when they're holding on to all of this anger and frustration, that's simply part of the human experience. At one point, they will snap, they will lash out, because none of us are rainbows and sunshine all of the time. It's about making peace with the darkness that may exist within you. It exists within all of us. And with Mars-Pluto, I keep highlighting moving through it very physically, because your body remembers. Like for that people-pleasing example, your body remembers what it felt like to swallow and feel a lump in your throat when your bosses ask you, oh, can you just stay late without pay for just this final time, even though you've done it 4 times. Your body remembers how your stomach was in knots when this friend asked you for money again. Like your body holds on to it. Your body remembers. And if you ignore it and try to tell it that it doesn't exist, like this anger doesn't exist, this frustration doesn't exist, it just builds and builds and builds. It needs a release. We all do. I'm somebody who's super big on mind-body connection, and I start to notice I get a little spiky when I am not feeling connected to my body. For example, I'm here in Thailand, which is a completely different part of the globe than I typically am in, which means a very long plane ride. And the journey to get here was quite arduous. It took 3 flights, a 2-hour flight with a 4-hour layover, then a 17-hour flight with a 9-hour layover, and then a 2-hour flight. So when I got here, oh my goodness, my body felt all out of sorts, right? I had knots in my neck, my shoulders felt hunched over, and I felt it. Even energetically, I just felt really spiky and annoyed and frustrated and impatient. Again, it was so worth it to be where it is that I am now. I am quite literally in heaven on earth. That's what it feels like. But I didn't initially feel that way. When I got here, I felt so spiky and just all out of sorts. But as soon as I did some yoga, I got a massage, I just got all that sticky, tense energy out of my body, and I was able to really feel grounded. Because when that tense energy was building, I was getting frustrated at things that were so minor. Like one of the layovers was in the Singapore airport, and they had these robots that were going around and steaming the floors. And I was literally getting annoyed at a robot because it kept coming near me. I was like, will this robot back up? This robot's getting a little too close. Like, girl, the robot's fine. We do not need to be beefing with robots, even though that is a perfect example of Mars conjoining Pluto and Aquarius. But alas, I knew it was kind of that spikiness that was building within me, just how out of sorts my body felt and thus my spirit felt. All I'll say on Tuesday is move some energy physically, whether by yourself, with your partner, through a workout, whatever it is that you want. Allow yourself to work through what is coming up. Give yourself a space to release. And I spoke a lot about the competitive dimension of Mars conjoining Pluto on Monday's portion, but I want to add to that and say if that comes up on Tuesday, those competitive or even resentful or jealous emotions, it may be coming from a more wounded place, as on Tuesday, the Aries moon will align with Chiron. So there could be pangs around that person got what I want and I've been wanting it for so long. Why am I not good enough? Making it a story about you, or even tethering your own value to getting what it is that you want. Like needing this job, because if you don't get it, then that signals something bad about you. Like sometimes Mars conjoining Pluto can make us so laser focused on getting a prize that when we get to the finish line, we realize I didn't even really want this. I just wanted to prove myself, or I just want to show myself that I could be worthy of this. I just didn't want to feel rejected. It could be that energy around the end justifies the means, then getting to the end and being like, I didn't even particularly want this, and I'm not proud of the means that it took to get here, right? The manipulation or the jealousy or what have you. So with Mars Pluto, ensuring that you're building towards things that do mean something to you, not just because you're trying to prove something to yourself or prove yourself to others or prove that you are good enough. But other than those spiky emotions that might come up around your vulnerability or where you may not feel good enough or what have you, this could also be the energy. Like I said, there could be debating energy or just people wanting to fight with you for no reason. So just knowing if people are cutting you off or a coworker is trying to pick a fight with you, they could be feeling insecure or not good enough. So they're trying to lord their power over you to make themselves feel bigger. Just remember, truly actualized and empowered people never need to feel their power by making other people feel smaller. They are powerful within their own right. So if somebody is trying to get competitive with you, or trying to manipulate you, or trying to play power games with you, just know that you have already won. And with Mars conjoining Pluto, your energy is your currency. Do not waste it by engaging in that low vibrational behavior. This is an important week to have horse blinders on. And again, I'm not condoning horse racing, but I'm just saying, you know how horses, when they race, they don't look side to side, they look at their own race. Win your own race. Do not worry about people trying to sabotage what it is that you're building. Be the best version of yourself that you can be. They're already trying to sabotage you. They already feel threatened by you. Your job is to just focus on being the best that you can. But other than that, while there could be some intense emotions swirling within and some intense desires that feel consuming, this is a great day for brainstorming or working together or collaborating as the waxing crescent moon, as the waxing crescent moon in Aries, sextiles Sun in Aquarius. Now, we have all planets direct. We have all planets moving into new territory within the cosmos. It's go time. That's why I'm saying do not leak out your energy of people who are trying to compete with you or trying to bring you down. Yes, this astrology is intense, but use this Pluto energy to just remain laser focused on getting to where it is that you genuinely want to be, the ends that you genuinely want to be at, and the means that you will feel good about at the end of the day, right? Like Pluto can be that laser focused energy. So you can either use that laser focus around being competitive or sabotaging other people, or you can use it around being the best version of yourself. So choose that. Waxing crescent moon and moon in Aries, it's go time. It's forward momentum, my loves. So do not leak out your energy. Stay focused, okay? Because with Pluto, it could be all or nothing. So you could just mean to do a slight deep dive on your competitor and then spend the next 6 hours just obsessing over every attribute of their business. Win your own race. Do not worry about what other people are doing. On Wednesday, February 14th, These are the times that I wish that we had ways where we could survey the general public, because I feel like this would be a Valentine's Day that would report significantly more fights and arguments. Let me say that. And Mars Pluto, the energy that built the day prior, again, it exacts today, Wednesday, if you are located more eastern within the world. But Mars Pluto can be intimate, it can be transformative, it can be powerful, but it also can be, in Aquarius fashion, very stubborn. And the moon will be in Taurus for a majority of Wednesday as well. And so it just feels like people are going to be a little bit more stubborn. And we all know Taurus placements. They can be very particular. They have good taste, okay? Taurus placements have the best taste of the zodiac. They're ruled by Venus, they're earth element. They're really able to create and facilitate beautiful experiences, but they have certain expectations. So with the Taurus moon, exalted moon, squaring off with Mars and Pluto, there can be an energy around your partner getting you flowers and being like, but I don't like lilies. I like roses. Like getting frustrated because it's not what you wanted, or maybe they take you out for seafood, but you wanted Italian. Like there just could be an energy around being frustrated that the experiences are not exactly what you had hoped for. But don't worry, it's not that we're all gonna fight. Mars Pluto can be helpful for moving through frustration or anger and just choosing to fight forward, right? Around, okay, thank you so much for getting the flowers. I so appreciate the thoughtfulness. Just as a heads up, for next year, I do prefer roses, but I so appreciate the gesture. Like not allowing that anger and resentment to stew and build within you. Like that can be poison, not just for yourself, but also for a relationship. But also with Mars Pluto, we could be making mountains out of molehills. Like it's not the biggest deal that they got the wrong flowers. And sometimes Mars Pluto aligning in Aquarius can have us ready to die on this hill that this person royally messed up by getting you the wrong sort of flowers. Like perspective is necessary, especially when this fixed energy building, we could want to be right so bad that again, the ends justify the means. We're also in that argument we mentioned, and you also did this, and you also did this, and you get mean and you get below the belt because you so want to win the argument. Then when you win the argument, it's like, did I even really want this? Are these the ends that I wanted? Now I've hurt my partner. So with Mars Pluto, just being intentional around responding. Do not react. There may be things that frustrate you this week, but it's important not to react knee-jerk. Instead, choose to respond. With Pluto energy, the only way out is through. We are both being asked by the cosmos to not ignore our frustration and our shadow side, however that's showing up for you, but also not let it run us and cause us to react or go overboard. It's just important to take that moment around feeling what's coming up and choosing to respond with that data. Not ignoring it, not letting it lash out, just choosing to respond. But on Valentine's Day, at least from a PST perspective, the evening time is much better than the morning, okay? So I feel like there's someone out there where someone's gonna think their partner forgot, maybe their partner did forget, but by the evening time, they saved the day. They planned an amazing night, they got the right chocolate, they got all the things. So try not to get too frustrated within the morning time, because in the evening time, the Taurus moon will sextile Saturn and conjoin Jupiter. Now, the energy of the Taurus moon is very sensual, it's very luxurious. I couldn't imagine a better moon sign to have during Valentine's Day. Again, it's not the most ideal astrology, but I will say the Taurus moon is answering to Venus, who's sextiling Neptune. So remember to breathe in the magic. Even if you've been in a relationship for a long time, with Venus sextile Neptune, continue to reminisce about your shared history together around, gosh, wasn't it cool when we did this? Or do you remember that one Valentine's Day when you took me here? Like continue to keep that dreamy sparkle of your connection alive and really work that muscle around seeing the romance within your connection. Because of course, when you've been together for a while, with kids and errands and just all of the things, it's easy to lose that luster. But again, that sextile is asking to be intentional around working that muscle. And with the energy of Taurus, eat good food, drink good wine, eat good chocolate. My love, if you are not in a relationship, I went on a whole rant about this last week, but please do not let consumerism tell you that something is wrong with you for not having a Valentine, okay? Be your own Valentine, okay? Take a bubble bath, cook yourself a delicious meal, light candles, get yourself in that romantic spirit. Again, we do not attract what it is that we want when we are bitter or resentful. And again, if you are moving through something, if you are grieving a sort of relationship, please feel those feelings. I'm not saying ignore them. That's a huge message for this week. Do not ignore the emotions that are coming up, even if they are not pretty or perfect or what have you. But if you are somebody where you just hate Valentine's Day, you're like, everybody else gets the perfect Valentine's Day. So on Valentine's Day, I just listen to Screamo music all day and I scowl at anybody who walks by with their Valentine. Like, that is not the vibration that's going to get you in alignment with calling love into your experience, if that is something that you are wanting at this point in time. It's when we can tap into that romantic vibration, even if we are by ourselves, that we are more magnetic to draw a partner in. If you've worked with me within a one-on-one, you know I'm huge on Venus returns. I tell most of my clients about their Venus returns, way to celebrate because it works, okay? And just in case you're unfamiliar, your Venus return is a one-day Venus holiday that essentially sets the tone for the new Venus cycle that you are stepping into. So I always take my Venus return and I do things that call in the energy of what I want from my Venus that year. So if I want more leisure, I'll take a book to the park with some tea. If I want more love, I'll go for a date or spend time with dear friends. Use that day as a microcosm for the big picture energy of Venus you're wanting to call in. Something I tell my clients who are looking for love, I tell them on their Venus return, what you're going to do is you're going to take yourself on a date that you would like someone to take you on. You're going to buy yourself flowers. You're going to listen to love music. You're going to watch love movies. You're going to get into that frequency. And rather than scowling and being mad at everybody else because they have something that you want, get on that romantic wavelength. Romance yourself. Look out at the world through the lens of romance. You will magnetize that energetic within your universe. The birds are feeling me on this. They're tweeting. They're like, yes, romance yourself. So I'm saying it, and the Thailand birds are telling you, romance yourself on Wednesday or spend quality time with a partner if you want to celebrate Valentine's Day. I'm not saying you have to. If you do, with the energy of the Taurus moon, would be a lovely time to indulge in really sensual, luxurious experiences, things that enliven all of the senses. So on Thursday, February 15th, we have Mercury sextile Chiron. And keep in mind, when I talk about sextiles, we have to work that muscle. It's an opportunity aspect. The opportunity here is to invite in some healing as it relates to our perspective and to our communication. For some individuals, there could be a very healing conversation that is taking place. So, for example, let's say the secret has been burning within you around these feelings that you have for your dear friend Alex, and you're able to have a dialogue with somebody else who helps you move through the guilt that you have around, gosh, why do I see this person as more than a friend? It would be so much easier if I just saw Alex as a friend. Like with Mercury sextile Chiron, being able to talk through it with somebody else in a vulnerable fashion, that's the nature of the sextile to Chiron in Aries, can be very healing and helping us gain perspective around when you talk with somebody else. Being like, yeah, it's natural, it's human nature that sometimes we fall in love with people that we shouldn't, right? It does not make you weird. It's not this secret that needs to be buried with you. Sometimes even just engaging with other people and getting their perspective sometimes takes our own shame out of the equation around if there's something that's within you that you feel shameful about. Sometimes having a dialogue with somebody else helps you feel seen in that moment. So this could be an aligned day for some sort of vulnerable conversation like that and not feeling weird. Keep in mind, with so much energy of Aquarius, there sometimes could be a complex around feeling just fundamentally different than other people, just feeling like we're on a different wavelength that we cannot relate. And it's so lovely to have those conversations where we're just able to connect soul to soul, person to person, and feel seen and feel genuinely seen. And so whether that shows up within a dialogue that you have with somebody or even via journaling or writing through something, sometimes when we're in this spiral space that sometimes Pluto energy can create, we can obsess and make things a big deal. But when we write it out around, oh, that's why I'm upset. It's not that big a deal. It's human nature. Alex is my best friend and I know Alex cares about me. So there's got to be a way that we can navigate this. Sometimes we can make things such a big deal when it's just swirling around in our mind. But when we write it out and are able to like linearly process and gain perspective around what's really going on, we realize, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like life will go on, right? Pluto energy can make it feel like life or death. And with Mercury sextile Chiron, it's like, no, actually, life will continue on. The world will keep spinning. Something I just want to pepper in here, because the Taurus moon will essentially activate that building Mercury square Uranus aspect that exacts the next day. And that's the energy where there could be some news coming out that is unexpected. And it's natural when something doesn't go according to plan to want to freak out and make it a huge deal. But Mercury sextile Chiron is taking that moment around, okay, I was not expecting this. I thought Alex and I were going to spend time together on Friday, but they're going for a date and I have all sorts of feelings about that. But let me just process one step at a time. Like, this does not mean Alex is going to get married to this person, and this does not mean it's the end of our friendship. They are simply, from the big picture, they are simply going for a date. Mercury sextile Chiron can be that influence around stepping out of a situation, and sure, there's feelings about it. It doesn't feel good. Chiron energy can bring up what within us feels a little wounded, but stepping out of it, you're like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It's being able to process and take into perspective the unexpected shifts that are occurring, because Pluto energy can make us a little bit more dramatic or a little bit all or nothing, or around they're going for a date and then they're going to get married and then Alex is going to leave me in the dust and I'm never going to fall in love again. Like, perspective, my love, talk yourself down or talk to somebody else. Put what you're feeling and the emotions that you're feeling, put it into words, have a dialogue. And yes, brace yourself, because with Mercury square Uranus, there could be communication that's unexpected, news that is unexpected. But again, choose to respond and not react. Take that moment around, that was not what I wanted to hear, but let me just process this, let me break it down piece by piece, and let me gain perspective around this is not pleasant, but life will go on. And what I also want to highlight about Thursday is that because Venus enters Aquarius the next day, Venus is at that anoretic degree, and that could be urgency around money, feeling like you have to spend your money really impulsively, or even urgency around love, or urgency around beauty of some sort. Again, choose to respond rather than react. This is a week that's a little bit fired up, it's a little bit passionate, but nothing good is going to come out of being very knee-jerk. Again, choose to respond and not react, right? When you see the shoes, you don't need to react right away by buy them. Choose to take a deep breath and really contemplate. Do I need the shoes? Do I value the shoes? Take that moment to check in with yourself, because there are parts of this week that can be very impulsive. So on Friday, February 16th, at 7:01 a.m., we have the first quarter moon in Taurus, which is the crisis of action moon phase. And you might be saying, Haley, Comet, what's with all this crisis energy, right? This now or never energy. Again, sometimes it can be powerful. I'm not saying anybody should be impulsive this week or lash out or do something without thinking. Again, respond rather than react. But when you know, you know. Sometimes when we're trying to make a decision around, should I tell Alex, should I not tell Alex, we could just go back and forth around, what should I do, what should I do, what should I do? But then one day you will just wake up and you will know. It will become clear. And that deep knowing will help you and support you in being even more courageous than you thought was possible. And for a lot of us, it can support us in being even more focused than we thought was possible. That's the gift of Pluto energy, is that Pluto energy can be that tunnel vision focus. Let's say we've been going back and forth around, should I do this project? Should I not do this project? And then one day you just get this huge hit of inspiration, and then you get it done in like 3 hours. That's the gift of Pluto. It can be tunnel vision, what it is that we want to create, but it can also be tunnel vision around what it is that we are destroying. So with great Pluto comes great responsibility. But I just feel like there is this energy of clarity around finally getting that gut ping, or that yes, or that decision being made, where the pathway forward around the decisions that you want to make, the crossroads that you are at, it finally seems clear and you're supported around moving forward, rather than being this purgatory around, should I tell Alex, should I not tell Alex, like going back and forth, just all of a sudden having that knowing around, okay, this is how I'm going to proceed. When you know, you know. I had shared some of the circumstances around my being in Thailand, but I want to go deeper into it. So this month is my 30th birthday. Pisces season starts on Sunday. Happy birthday to all of my fellow fish. We'll get into that in a moment. But I had blocked off this month wanting to do something special for a couple months now, and just nothing felt right. It just felt like I was forcing, I was efforting. And whenever I thought about it, it was starting to just feel tinged with dread. I was just like, nothing feels right. Time is running out. I wish I was one of those cool people who had some elaborate birthday, all planned or what have you. I was kind of like stewing. I was kind of in this bitter energy, okay? Because it just felt like nothing was working out, nothing was aligning. And I'll never forget it. It was January 20th, because it was the day that Aquarius season began and Pluto entered Aquarius. all of a sudden everything shifted. I can't even explain it. I'd just been in purgatory for the last couple months around, should I do this, should I do that? I just don't know. And again, making it a story, making it a complex around, this always happens with my birthday. I can never decide what to do. I'm always disappointed, pitying and feeling sorry for myself, what have you. And then on Saturday, January 20th, I'll never forget this, I just finished editing Magic Monday. It was around midnight. And all of a sudden I just got this ping around check Thailand, like check Thailand flights right now. And for some reason, and this is what is amazing of co-creating with spirit, for some reason, flights directly to the island that I am currently in, they're usually like $1 million. For some reason, flights in 2 weeks' time were quite literally a fraction of that cost than when I had checked in November and got discouraged because the prices were too high. It was a fraction of the price. And all of a sudden I just knew, I was like, that's what I'm meant to do. I found accommodations right away, dream accommodations. I know this place does not look like much. The location of this place, just being able to go for runs on the beach when I wake up and just hear the ocean waves when I'm going to sleep. It's just everything. My Pisces spirit just feels so happy being able to look out at the ocean right there. And I'm staying at some other places during my time, but it was like bam, 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 like accommodations were perfect. I planned this entire trip, I want to say an hour. Like that's the energy of Pluto. When we know, and you could go all in. I was just like deep in the zone, making decisions when the last couple months I couldn't even bear to make one singular decision. And once flights were booked and accommodations were booked, I like came out of that deep Pluto tunnel vision that I was in. I was like, oh, I probably should have like checked with people within my personal life. Like I didn't realize at the time because I was just so deep in the Pluto energy that I would be gone for Valentine's Day. That was my bad. Okay, when I was in Pluto energy, I was just so zeroed in on this trip that I completely let a lot of details fall by the wayside. But alas, I'm here. When you know, you know. And you will know when it's time to take action. If you do not know, perhaps tomorrow you'll know. Listen to the song Margaret by Lana Del Rey. That's a line from that. But with the first quarter moon, things can feel a little tense. We can feel a little stuck between where it is that we are going and where it is that we've been. We can get kind of stubborn, particularly around clinging to things, even if they do not serve us because we want to prove a point. Just really important to not allow ego to take the reins this week. Your ego could have you fighting for things that you don't even really care about once you get it. You're like, oh, I just wanted to be right on that. Like, again, perspective is necessary. Then at 8:05, Venus enters Aquarius. And I know I said this earlier, and I want to be very, very clear in my talking about this placement. I am not saying Aquarians are detached or emotionless. They can come off that way. And when they are deeply emotional, a lot of times they can just shut down or just detach, almost want to probe into it like it's a science project, wanting to understand it, which a lot of times has earned them a reputation around they don't care. Aquarians care quite a bit. Once you've earned access to a fixed sign, like they are very steady. They're very loyal. The energy of fixed signs is about maintaining. So if you make your way into a Venus and Aquarian's heart, you will have a piece of them and a piece of their friendship forever. They are not inherently cold individuals. Sometimes when you see the way that they operate and the way that they approach things and the way that they deal with emotions, you could assume that because it's different than the way that you process, but they care quite a bit. And with Venus and Aquarius, there typically is a desire for love relationships to really be built on a strong friendship, on a strong partnership. It takes time, and they approach love and relationships through a more almost like scientific, logical lens, but it does not make these individuals cold or heartless. I just wove that into the vibe check because sometimes it can appear that way, right? They can seem very aloof while a lot's happening beneath the surface. They are the final air sign, right? They got a lot of thoughts, okay, going on in those noggins. So what you can expect with Venus and Aquarius is definitely a focus on either the friendships in your life or honoring the friendship that exists within your relationship, within your connection. So what can you expect with Venus now in Aquarius? You can definitely expect a focus around the community, the friendships that are around you, the friendship that your connection is built around. Again, romance and roses is all nice, but at the end of the day, you really want that partnership energy around feeling safe to be yourself, around really being able to have genuine friendship, being able to share interests and being able to laugh together, being able to solve problems. Like relationship built on a strong friendship and camaraderie can be important, and Venus and Aquarius can be nudging you to find that and cultivate that within your connection. This would also be a lovely time to be intentional around cultivating expanders on your social media feed. People, when their content comes up, you're like, oh wow, that's something that I would like to experience, be, embody, actualize. And also being intentional around diligently cultivating your social media space. If people stir up weird emotions within you, go ahead and take it as an invitation to mute or unfollow. You have this one life, you have this precious time. You should not be consuming content that makes you feel weird, okay? It could be your spirit nudging you that this person is no longer in alignment with your journey, and that's okay. It's your social media. You could cultivate it as you want and cultivate things that make you feel optimistic about the future and where things are going for the collective. And you might be saying, Haley, Comet, how could I possibly be optimistic? The world is on fire. It's so important this week with the energy of Pluto that we balance out the necessity of being informed, right? Getting news, getting information with pieces of content or information that do give us a shred of hope around where humanity is going. That's going to be important because with Pluto energy, sometimes it can be that all or nothing obsessive energy where you just feel like everything is falling apart. It's important with Pluto energy, come up for air, take a deep breath, go watch some videos of puppies. Go spend time with people who make you feel excited, people who see the future similarly. It's going to be important with this Pluto energy around what it is that we are focusing on. Of course, it's helpful to be informed on what is going on, but try not to let it consume you. With the energy in Pluto and Aquarius, things are transforming. So stay focused on what it is that you'd like to transform it into. Remember, where attention goes, energy flows. What is it that you want to create, not just for yourself, but also for humanity? It'll be important to follow individuals, whether it's online, that's just an example, or cultivate friends who make you feel somewhat hopeful about where the collective could go, where humanity could go. And just a quick beverage update. My coffee is gone because it was delightful. This beauty drink, I'm not loving it, maybe because of the church flashback, and I don't feel like it's working and making me prettier. In fact, I just feel more sweaty and disheveled than when I started this video. So I don't know about you, beauty drink. I don't know. Also on Friday, before I get into the lunar aspects, I want to share that in the evening time at 7:53 p.m. PST, so in many places in the globe, it'll happen early Saturday. But we have Mercury in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus, which is the energy of the record scratch moment around, I was not anticipating that to come out of your lips. I was not anticipating Alex to say, hey, I have a date with this really hot person on Friday. I was not expecting that. And it caught me by surprise. It caught me off guard. You could open an email that's kind of like, huh? That came out of nowhere. You could have a conversation with somebody else that shocks you around, gosh, I didn't know you felt that way. And again, if that last example is true for you, just being conscious that just because somebody sees differently than you does not make them wrong. Like sometimes with Mercury squaring Uranus and some other stubborn energy within the cosmos, there can be a desire to fight around, you shouldn't feel that way. If somebody is bringing something up to your attention, just really taking that space to honor what it is that they're bringing forward. It might be different than how it is that you see the situation, but again, choose to respond. Don't just react and go on the offense, right? Genuinely take that moment to hear this individual. And other ways you could feel this come in, technology can be behaving quite strangely. You can feel like your mind is literally in outer space, just all sorts of random pings or ideas. It could be really hard to focus. You could be feeling a lot of restlessness brewing. Again, Uranus is Mercury's higher octave, so it can be brilliant. You can be thinking out of the box, but this could also be an energy where some of your ideas are a little too out of the box. And again, that's not me saying it, okay? I don't think your ideas are too out of the box, but there could be something at a meeting where you bring something up and everybody looks at you like, huh? Like with Mercury square Uranus, we could be letting our intrusive thoughts win, okay? Voicing them and them coming through very random, maybe not in accordance to social norms or what have you. So note the brilliance, but also spotlight ways that you can communicate it in the best way possible. Because sometimes Mercury square Uranus can have us blurting things out and then realizing, ooh, that's not exactly what I wanted to say. Or, ooh, that idea is really intelligent, but I didn't fully flesh it out and I didn't package it in the right way to voice it at the meeting. Those could be some themes that you're experiencing. So getting to a lunar perspective, like I said, we have the first quarter moon, so things can feel a little tense, particularly in the morning. We have the Taurus moon sextiling Neptune in Pisces at 4:55 a.m. So it can be a really lovely day to find the magic. That's the energy of Neptune in Pisces within the mundane, where yes, it's very mundane that you are eating your oatmeal email, but really being intentional around putting the cinnamon in and adding the blueberries, like really being present within the unfolding of these mundane experiences, adding a heightened degree of mindfulness and magic to it. The moon will be void from 7:01 a.m. until 11:35 a.m. Now, when the moon's void, important tasks we must avoid, but I do want to highlight some astrologers assert that the moon can never truly go void in its exaltation, so it's totally up to you. I would just strive not to send the most important email ever that morning, and you can just observe you're feeling lazier, you're feeling more tired, you're kind of in dreamland from that sextile to Neptune and Pisces. You could be feeling this now or never push from that first quarter moon, and that's consuming a lot of your awareness, and your focus isn't really going to work matters. That can absolutely be part of it. And then when the moon enters Gemini at 11:35 a.m., it just has this love affair with all of the planets in Aquarius. The Gemini moon will trine Venus in Aquarius, it will trine Pluto in Aquarius, it will trine Mars in Aquarius. So it's kind of getting an invite to that aforementioned Aquarius party and socializing, connecting. That's what Geminis do. They're so gifted at being able to connect together people and concepts and ideas. They're so amazing at that. So the Gemini moon is kind of going over to Pluto and Aquarius and saying, hey, come play this game with us, or hey, do you need a drink? It's kind of harmonizing and bringing together some of these more tense characters in this name of collaboration, and genuinely taking that time to connect human to human, soul to soul. Even if you see things differently than those around you, with the energy of Gemini, get curious, ask questions. Why do you feel that way? Or tell me more about this idea. There can be a curiosity around wanting to understand, being like, I don't understand your perspective, but I want to. Let me dig deeper, and let me grant you the space to feel seen, right? Like sometimes with Aquarius energy, there can be this energy around, no one gets me, no one understands. And Gemini moon is the energy around, but I want to. Let's have an honest dialogue. Let's talk about what's beneath the surface, with the Gemini moon trining Pluto. So yes, with the moon answering to a planet who's squaring Uranus, there can be some out of the box or random or bizarre ideas or conversations being had on Friday, but you're also being supported around really asking the questions, really focusing on connection and collaboration. And my last note for Friday is that Venus will align with Pluto early on Saturday, like after midnight. So you can feel these Plutonian energies come into your experience, which again, with it on Venus, there can be an awareness around where your relationship needs to transform, or where certain connections need to transform or are transforming. Pluto energy can bring us down to our fears. It could bring us down to our paranoia. Sometimes we can feel like, oh my gosh, my partner's going to leave me, or Alex is going to break up with me. Like sometimes the Pluto energy can make us descend into paranoia. So just being intentional, if you observe that's happening, ground down, take a deep breath. Gemini moon has a lot of thoughts, and now other than Jupiter and Uranus, we do not have any Earth within the cosmos, so we can struggle to feel grounded. So again, if you observe at any point this week, but particularly Friday, if you observe you're just overthinking something, take a moment, put on some clothes, make yourself something to eat, drink some water, take a bath, shower, do something that brings you into your physical body, because you're not going to make the most true decision when you're just descending into your own thoughts. Take a deep breath, connect physically. On Saturday, February 17th, so after midnight is when Venus conjoins Pluto. And so now Venus is taking a journey down to the underworld, and my goodness, can't love take us there? Love can absolutely elevate us to heaven, but a lot of times, especially in connections that are very obsessive and intense, you know, the one that you've had within your experience, whether it was the one that got away or just somebody who enlivened emotions within you that you didn't even know was possible. The person who made you see the world in such a new way, it's though a new color on the spectrum was invented. That sort of connection. You know the one. It can be intense. It could take us to extremes. And so you'll just want to be conscious around the shadow sides of Pluto energy, which can be rumination and obsessiveness and jealousy and paranoia, what have you. Remember, ground down as you start to fear the worst, go into worst case thinking. Again, with the energy of the Gemini moons, sometimes it's just helpful to have a conversation rather than letting these thoughts exist within your head. Having a conversation with the person, or journaling about it, talking to a therapist about it, however it shows up. Sometimes things can feel a lot less scary when we put it into words or allow ourselves to make sense of all of these these intense emotions that we are experiencing. And as I said earlier, Pluto can represent manipulation and power struggles, and sometimes even psychological games that we play with it aligned with Venus in this pursuit of love. And this combination of this conjunction happening in Aquarius reminds me of the pretend you don't care game. And you could be playing that game when it comes to, last week we talked about friendship breakup around, let me pretend like I don't care about what transpired with this friend, and I'm just gonna post on social media like I'm living my best life, and hopefully they see it and see how much I'm slaying and see how much I don't care. Or let's say if you're in something casual with somebody who you want to be exclusive with, but just pretending like you don't care and that there's no feelings involved, the pretend you don't care game, and using that as a strategy to get what it is that you want. Listen, Venus conjunct Pluto, love can be a battlefield, but just being intentional around the weapons you utilize in the battlefield of love, right? The ends do not justify the means. You have to live with what it is that you did to get what it is that you want, right? Whether it was a desire of yours with the energy of Mars, or it was something that you love and value with the energy of Venus, you have to live with yourself. So it's important to be integral with what it is that you do to get what it is that you want. I'm not saying the desires are the problem, I'm not saying the crushes are the problem. I'm just saying you have to live with yourself, and it's not kind to manipulate or deceive people. Of course, this could be very seductive. The energy of Pluto has to do with, secrets, what's beneath the surface, and that's what seduction is, what we choose to reveal, what we choose to keep in shadows, and what it is that we choose to keep in shadows tends to build more of an allure and an intrigue and a mystery. That's all well and good. I'm talking about the strategies of winning over someone's heart that involves manipulation or deceit. Again, you have to live with yourself. So just being intentional about how it is that you get what it is that you want. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, and I'm talking a while, you will know that what just came out of my mouth is growth. Because the perspective that I have now was not always the perspective that I've had within the past. And before I get into this, you need to pinky promise me right now that you will not go look at the video that I am referring to right now, because it's so embarrassing, it's so cringe. It was the first video that I posted on my YouTube channel, and I had a hole in my sweater. I just moved into where I was living, so it's a mess all over. I just opened my laptop, pressed play on photo booth, so the audio is horrible. I didn't know how to talk to a camera. It's just bad. And for some reason, it kind of did well. Like, I posted that and then I just forgot I had a YouTube channel. And then one day I remembered the password in like 2019. I was like, what the heck? It had like a decent amount of views for not having tags, being horrible quality. And the content of this video, again, don't judge me, I have healed and grown. But the content of this video was all about how you can make an Aquarius fall in love with you. And it was inspired by real life events around how I made an Aquarius fall in love with me. And again, I got what I wanted, but were the means healthy? No. And I don't feel like I was necessarily manipulative to that person, but I was very unfair to myself, because the experience that I'd shared about in that video and that I had cracked the code, I had learned all these tips around how you could make this placement fall in love with you. It was a painful road, to be quite honest, and I did it, but was it worth it? Looking back on it, no, because I was pining over this person, but acting like I didn't care, okay? Acting like I didn't care. For I want to say 2 years. I was just obsessed with this person and not letting them see that, and just acting really flippant and aloof and cool and detached. But inside I was lovesick. I really wanted this person, but I was acting like I didn't care. And I just feel like that misalignment, acting one way while feeling another way deeply, I just feel like that didn't gel with my soul or with my expression, because it created a lot of confusion within my world, keeping all these desires hidden. And I basically pressed pause on my life waiting on this person. Like, looking back, I wouldn't do that. Even if I was so focused on the ends, and like, to me, I was like, well, I've got to be cool and casual and act like I don't care because I'm going to make this person fall in love with me. And I did, but I look back and I'm like, you had your entire world on pause waiting on this person, acting like you didn't care, even though you did deeply care. And it was a good relationship. And I don't feel like I did anything deceitful to this person. I just feel like I was deceiving myself. And I just feel like that misalignment, it also created confusion within our relationship, because we'd entered into a relationship under the conditions that we did. It was hard for me to be vulnerable, or it was hard for me to be truly deeply seen, because I had unintentionally started our connection on this note of deceit or not being honest about who I really was or what I really wanted or how I really felt. I would not recommend manipulating yourself to have somebody fall in love with you. I do have some videos on the channel. Don't you dare go watch them. They're my first videos that essentially speak through all of the signs and just the most important qualities to accentuate within yourself when you do have a crush on that person. I don't think that's bad, but I just think the reason I started this channel and the reason I had that video, when I think about the real life unfolding of that energy within my world, it was a painful path. I probably wouldn't redo that. And so just be cautious if any of you are in a game around who can care the least, right? Or let me act like I don't care. Like, I just feel like Pluto energy asks us to be honest with ourselves. And maybe with Venus on Pluto, be honest within our relationship as well. Outside of that, with Venus and Pluto, there just could be contemplations around how your connection is transforming, how you want it to transform. And with Venus on Pluto, there may be contemplations around potentially wanting to end a relationship. Some of you could be grieving a relationship. Some of you could be contemplating wanting to release this connection, right? Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. There can be a contemplation around essentially wanting to end this connection. And to that I say, just ensure that you have that certainty. Like I said, with this week's astrology, there's kind of this urgent energy. And sometimes we can misunderstand Pluto. It's not saying that every single relationship needs to be burned down to the ground. It just could be an ask around something within the relationship needs to transform. It cannot continue going as it's been going. Something needs to change. I don't think the right answer in every single scenario is to leave. In a lot of scenarios it is. Okay, if anybody's being manipulative or causing you harm or being abusive, please take the steps necessary to get out of that relationship. That is not love, okay? That is not love. But if you are in a connection where you're like, something's got to change, contemplate, does something need to be changed within the connection? Am I going to face the same problem if I run to a different connection? Or am I genuinely feeling that my growth here is done and it's time to transform and move beyond? Like, just important to tap into that nuance, because with some other energies within the week, we can find that we are a little bit more impulsive around just wanting to burn it all down and start something anew. And the last themes that I want to speak to is beware of being too obsessive about beauty or money. Like with Venus Pluto, you could be getting ready, just obsessing around, it doesn't look right, everything looks wrong, and just like hyper fixating on really small parts of your appearance. With Venus Pluto, you could just be observing a lot of financial anxiety or worry within your experience. Pluto goes deep, but it's not always the most objective energy. We could be playing out our worst case scenarios. So like I said, not a lot of earth energy in the cosmos. Make sure you're eating, make sure you're grounding down. And the moon squaring off with Saturn around 2:57 a.m. certainly isn't helping matters. We could be waking up feeling kind of blah. Our mind can be hurting our feelings. But with the Gemini moon then sextiling Chiron in Aries, it can be a helpful day to have a dialogue with ourselves, journal, have a conversation with somebody else. Again, vulnerability can be healing, right? And rather than playing the I don't care game, it's cool to care, okay? It's cool to be able to relate human to human, not feel like you have to pretend to be somebody that you are not, or get what you want under false pretenses. It's cool to care, especially if you feel like you're competing in this game around who can care the least. I remember I was so taken aback when I met my boyfriend, just how open he was and how clear he made his feelings for me and his intentions for our connection right off the bat. There was not an ounce of games or manipulation whatsoever. And keep in mind, my framework was the framework that I had shared with you earlier, that is visible on my channel, that love is something to be strategized and won. But with him, it was just so natural. And he never once left me wondering or confused. And my belief at this point in my life, which again, this absolutely can change as time goes on and I gain more and more perspective and wisdom as I get older and older. It's kind of fun just having my ideologies cataloged on this channel. It's a little time capsule around how I feel about different matters, and it will certainly change. I definitely don't know it all, even post Saturn return. If anything, Saturn return sharpened into focus how little I know within this experience. But my belief at this juncture in life, with the experiences and the relationships that I've had, is that that's how love and connection should be. It's just something honest, and something upfront, and somebody who makes you feel safe and never makes you feel confused around how they feel or what they want with you. It was so refreshing to have somebody who didn't care if he looked dumb or didn't care if he was coming on too strong. He was showing how it is that he felt. He was vulnerable. He was open with me right out the gate. He didn't need to act like he didn't care. He didn't keep me in the friend zone for 2 years. It was just natural, as easy as breathing. It was two people just in love. A very pure, uncomplicated vibration. A lot of stuff around romance makes it very complicated. I believe, at this moment in time at least, when you know, you know. And I don't believe you need to trick or manipulate someone into falling for you. Somebody will meet you and just naturally fall in love with all that you are. No games, no power plays. On Sunday, February 18th at 8:13 p.m. PDT, the sun leaves its detriment of Aquarius and enters into the mutable water sign of Pisces, kicking off season of the fish. And so I just want to take this opportunity to wish all of my fellow fish the most glorious, dreamy birthday season. I know it has not been easy having Saturn within your sign, but you all have been just swimming with such grace, inspiring me as I'm navigating with it myself. I want to take this moment to just wish you the happiest birthday. I hope you are doing something wonderful to celebrate. You are somebody who is worthy of celebrating. Maybe you're on your own trip to Thailand. Who knows? Let me know how you're celebrating below. And I just want to take this moment to just admire Pisces for your creative essence, for your ability to flow in harmony with spirit, for your ability to empathize with all sorts of different people from all sorts of walks of life. I'm continually inspired by the fish in my life, and I'm not saying that just because I am a Pisces myself. And so outside of Pisces birthday season, I do want to share that Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. So we are entering into a season where we are closing out a year. The new year starts next month. And let me just say, next month is a doozy. We've got eclipse season coming in. I know. I feel like we just had an eclipse season and now another one is coming in hot. But when it comes to what we are closing out, you could observe Pisces season makes you feel more emotional, because you're not just feeling your emotions, you're feeling your emotions, the emotional debris that's been building up for the past year as you close out that chapter. You're also feeling the weight of humanity's emotion and the collective grief and empathizing with other people's suffering. Like, we can be feeling a lot. And the best advice I could give you from a Pisces who lives with this energy every day of her life is just to flow. Through the highs, through the lows, it's just important to flow, not feeling like a god when things are going good, and not feeling like a mere fleck of dust when things are going bad, just taking it all with a grain of salt and just staying connected to the bigger picture around, okay, we are on a planet in the middle of a galaxy. To a bigger perspective, does this matter? Like Pisces, the energy around remembering, I'm just a soul having this experience. Why am I crying about taxes right now? Like, let me gain some perspective and tune into what my soul is here to learn. Like, that can be helpful medicine just as you navigate this month, as well as just taking the highs and the lows of your emotional state and just seeing what they're there to teach you or signal to you. It's useless trying to fight against it. It's Pisces season. We're in our feeling season. Feeling and healing seasons, perhaps feeling more inspired, feeling more full of love, feeling more vulnerable with our emotions, perhaps giving up the pretend you don't care battle and just being like, whatever, I care. And if that makes me lose, then clearly this is not the right person for me. And so Sunday is definitely giving lazy Sunday. I mean, the Gemini moon does trine Mercury in Aquarius. You could be having thoughts or dialogue, or you could be, writing your novel, listening to a podcast. But with the Gemini moon squaring Neptune around 12:28, your head is definitely elsewhere. And Sunday would be a great day to connect, especially with the Gemini moon trining the Aquarius sun, connect, harmonize with those around you. And it's fascinating because on Friday, the moon entered Gemini and Venus entered Aquarius. So two planets shifting out of earth and element, shifting into air element. So Friday was imbued with this sense of very cerebral intellectualism. And then Sunday night, expect to be transported right to the feels, okay? Because now we have moon and sun shifting from air of the mind to water of the feels, okay? The moon enters Cancer, which can be drawing your awareness to home and what deeply nourishes you, and the sun enters Pisces, which is not just feeling your stuff, but feeling everybody else's stuff as well. Just remember, it's cool to care. It's cool to be earnest. So my love, Magic Monday Thailand edition is complete. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, my power is in the present moment. With the energy of Pluto, there can be temptations for power plays or jealousy or paranoia, but it's important to call your power back. Your power is in whatever it is that you focus on in that moment. So just being conscious, if you notice that your energy is going in a direction that you don't particularly enjoy and that you don't feel like it's bringing the best out of you, call your attention back. Focus on what it is that you are creating rather than destroying yourself or somebody else. Pluto is such a double-edged sword, and it's important to remember that you have power within the present moment. Respond rather than react. Call your energy back. And I wanted to speak to this because, like I said, we don't have a lot of Earth within the cosmos moving into the weekend, so it's just important to stay grounded. Your power is within the present moment. Continue to respond in ways that are in alignment with your integrity. Do not let these Pluto energies drag you down to the underworld. There is most certainly a shadow side with Pluto energies, so just important to be discerning of. So my loves, that is our week. So if you made it to the end of the video, drop an emoji below that you feel is the most Plutonian, like the emoji that you feel like screams Pluto. Whenever I'm creating these Magic Mondays, I always add a little emoji that kind of represents the vibe of the week, and I always get stuck with Pluto. I'm like, what emoji is Pluto? I've tried the chains, I've tried the black heart, but I would love to see what's your rendition of Pluto energy. What screams Pluto to you? I would love to know. And if you're on a computer and you don't have emojis, drop the word Pluto below in a sentence to let me know that you watched it until the end, in the spirit of being earnest and just that it's cool to care. I just want to highlight that I am so incredibly grateful for each and every soul who watches this channel. I know it's probably a bit disruptive having me outside of my typical scenery. I'm sure the audio quality wasn't great. It's a little hard to film on the go, but it just feels so special to be able to, catalog my experiences, even though sometimes I get embarrassed by my prior takes, and just to be able to share my journey with you all and just see in the comments just how it's resonating with where it is that you are within your journey. And I just feel so incredibly grateful that I get to do what it is that I do. And don't judge me for crying, okay? I always tap into the day's energy as I'm chatting through it. And we ended out the week with the moon entering Cancer and sun entering Pisces. So tears are to be expected. I'm having such an amazing time in Thailand. It's such a special place. My Instagram handle is @Comet Astrology. I've been posting a lot about what I've been getting up to here if you want to follow along for that journey. But I hope that you all have such a beautiful week, and until we meet again next week, same time, same place, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.